What's up, Conkers? Hope everybody's having a fantastic day. I got a game on the Steam Medieval sale recently, and this game is a city builder, pure city builder. Reminds me a lot of an old school game. It's got old school graphics, so if you're not into the old school graphics, probably not for you, but if you don't mind that so much, it's really a fantastic game. I've been playing it a bit. We'll create a random game here and just want to show you how it works and how to set up your first city. So there's some different races you can play, each one, of course, having different challenges. And the really cool thing about this game is it's not just building a small city. You can build your local city, then you can take over new cities. You can basically do world expansion with it. It's an indie developer. So we're going to play the Tilapi. They're excellent woodcutters, herders, and good at range combat. They can be violent and dislike other species. And you can set this up if you want to, but I'm just going to kind of roll with whatever. Same with map type. You can do any map type, but I'm just going to go with a random. And let it generate a random map for me. And then you're going to get a random, just totally blank random map. Now it'll spawn in different cities. So the world map will get populated. And what I normally like to do, basically you're going to choose on the world map where your city's going to be. And then you can go into kind of your local view of the city and build up your city from there. So I kind of like trying to find somewhere, if I can, that has like high vegetation, you know, some minerals from a mountain area and some water. Of course, that's the best of both worlds. Now, some races like living in certain areas more than others. It'll even tell you, you know, tilapis don't prefer cold climate. And when you put your cursor over somewhere, it also shows you what kind of resources you can expect to have in these areas. Now there's different, you know, seas. The map generators were really cool, I think. So there's different seas. There's all sorts of different areas that you can spawn. So let's look around for somewhere where I can actually set up my base. I could just set it up here. It's a temperate climate. Let's just set it up down here and we can just roll with it. Or we can try to find a little bit better of a spot if we do like over here. So it does say, you know, you'll have few of your own species nearby, which might make expanding it hard in the later game. So the thing is, this game has like infinite playability pretty much. So you're going to see once I generate my city, it's going to automatically create hundreds of cities around the world map, which is like the really cool part about this game. So you have your one city that you're going to build, and there's neutral / can be allies, can be enemies, but right now neutral races and cities all over the place, right? And some of them are in different areas based upon what they might like, what they might not like. You know, it'll show you what resources that they would like buy, trade, those types of things. So, you know, my city over here, Kicksats. That's my city. You can technically name it, but I did not. So you can always click home to get back to your city over here. But you can also see a world map in the top right, which is pretty cool. There's some empires out there that already own multiple cities. And then once you click OK, you'll actually go into your main city here. If you like city builders, this is an amazing game. So if you scroll out, this is kind of your local map. There's basically the Empire Road / the road that connects cities is here. And then on the map, you can see different resources, like where your minerals are, most of the time near the mountains. There are animals that, you know, you can herd or hunt. There are Water in the bottom right corner for me. There's a lot of different like vegetables you can pick, fruit you can pick. So I'm going to start near the water. I normally prefer to start near the water, especially if there's fruit down here and I know my guys are going to want fruit. And later if I can either just buy minerals or I can expand over there. So we're going to try to do a starting spot. The only thing that might be weird, I don't know how many stones there are over here that I can gather. But we've got a decent starting spot here there's a lot of fruit there. Small amount of fruit here. There's some wood that I can harvest, which is also a big bonus. And I'm by the water. There's a clay pit, which is going to be good for later. And some cotton, which I'll need for clothes eventually. So we can do something like this. This is just kind of your throne. You can't let anyone take your throne or you'll lose the game. And you start with a very small group of people, 10 people. And these, the different things that you can harvest on the map, they normally have a harvest date of late summer. And so at the top up here, there's, 4 seasons, spring, summer, fall, winter. So you can harvest them in late summer. And normally what I start off with here, let's see how many resources we've got in here. So we start with a few resources at home. And the first thing I'm going to want to build so that I can store resources is actually going to be a warehouse. And I like starting with an 8x8. You build a door on it. And then you build the crates that are going to be inside of it. Of course, it takes wood to build. And so, you have agriculture buildings, work buildings, service buildings, government buildings, construction buildings, jobs. You'll gain research points. There's a ton of stuff in here that you can actually research over time. Overlay of your goods, overview of economic and trade, tourism happens later. People can raid you, so you'll actually make an army to defend yourself. And once you have an army, you can conquer other cities, which is pretty sweet. So you'll get immigrants. We're gonna go with a mostly how should I put this? We're gonna go with a non-multicultural society. I think this game we might have like 1 or 2 species, but mostly just gonna go with the Tilaps. And I like splitting my base up into different zones here. So the first general thing we want to do, warehouses store resources, houses for the people that have no houses. And I like setting my city up into sections. So we're going to have like what we're going to end up doing, it's a little weird since I'm against the water, but we're going to do a housing section with services. We'll end up and we'll do like a farming section with granaries. I actually might be able to do this down in this area. There's a lot of good farming land by the water. So that's solid. And then we'll also do like an industry section with the warehouses and everything. So that's how we're going to set things up. So let's go ahead and just set up some basic things for our people to build. We also don't want to be too busy when autumn comes around, or sorry, when summer comes around at the beginning, because we want our people to go harvest. So we're just going to build the housing straight up. Now you can either do apartment house or longhouse. Each one holds a different amount of residents. What we can probably do here, I'm actually going to put it a bit farther away from the throne. 2 of those will give us plenty of room at this point, since we only have 10 civilians anyways. And there's lots of different types of road, but we'll just start with dirt roads, and we'll get the game running. So you can go at pause with 1, normal speed, fast, or fastest. A lot of the time, I'll honestly just play it fastest, especially when I'm getting things set up. And so I'm going to want them to set up this warehouse Because there is fruit actually over here. These look like just stone rocks I can harvest, which are good. But there's a lot of fruit over here I want to pick. Because we actually need to pick fruit, and then we can set up fruit farms. And we'll also want to get cotton so we can build clothes at some point here. So from what I remember, we want to go warehouse, house. So our guys have somewhere to live. And hunter's actually pretty good early as well. Because you get a lot of meat, but it does cost furniture. So most of the time early game, I just harvest wood and stone from the map. I don't set up like a stone mine or a woodcutter for quite a while, and I'm actually kind of far away from the big area of wood and very far away from the stone. So I know what I want to do is I want to forage this. And just to start off so my people don't starve to death, once I get this warehouse up, and we'll speed things up here, I'll probably hunt these animals. And so normally I'll like splitting my warehouses to store specific goods, but at this point in the game I'll use the initial warehouse to store a lot of different stuff. But eventually I'll have just warehouses for, you know, industry, and then I'll have warehouses down here for farming, fishing, granaries. I will basically use them as. So when your people are happy, you can basically get more immigrants to come in. Now it looks like we are getting our houses done here, which is going to make people a lot happier because they will actually have somewhere to sleep. Imagine that, making people a lot happier. And you'll see this number goes from -10 to 0. And then when the next one's complete, we'll have 10 housing. Now once we actually get the houses done, we'll want to build some like basic services for them as well. And hopefully they'll finish this warehouse. So we can actually import people now. We can actually get immigrants now. And we can do something real basic for them here, which is just set up a hearth and a well. And a well will keep them from being hot during the summer, and a hearth will keep them warm during the winter. Now that we have a warehouse, I actually want to store a little meat. I want to store some fruit. And we actually will store some livestock because when we hunt these guys, we will need it. So some guys will go out to hunt. And if they go out to hunt and you haven't assigned a warehouse to actually be able to store the goods, they won't be able to put them anywhere, right? So there has to be somewhere for the goods to go. You can't just get the goods. That's just not how this game works. You have to have somewhere like a warehouse to store the goods, and you have to specifically assign the goods to be stored there. So I always end up building a lot of warehouses in this game. And you can actually auto set workers at the warehouse. You can set how many workers should be there, or you can auto set, and the warehouse worker will fetch the resources. So that's extremely helpful. So he's going to load us up on meat. I just didn't want our guys to starve to death early. And you can see meat, any resources actually in the game decay over time. So you can't just build up an infinite amount. You can see we're actually full on meat, which I'm a little surprised by, but there were just so many animals down there that we were able to hunt. So what I really want to do, and I hate doing this early, but I'm going to set up a second one because this is going to be a lot of fruit that I can harvest. If we can get this second warehouse up by the end of spring, then we will be able to store all of the fruit in it. Wait, is that cotton? How's there cotton in there? I guess that's just the forage icon. This is definitely fruit, though. We do want to get the cotton from up here, though. So we'll try to get the fruit and the cotton. And later on, I'll work out the warehouses a little bit better. But right now, this is just a basic... We're doing a very basic setup of a base, right? And we can expand the actual base out much later. You can see it actually copied a lot of things for me from the other warehouse, which I don't want. And then we're also going to get cotton. Basically, we create a little area where we can store cotton, because later we're going to want to set up cotton farms, right? And again, as our population grows, we're going to need to build more houses. You can hear our guy snoring, actually. You probably can't hear that, but... So this is the workforce will always show you who's working in buildings versus odd jobbers. So the number up here is just odd jobbers. They can basically do anything. They're not assigned to a specific building. So they'll build, they'll harvest, they'll hunt. They'll do anything like that, right? So at the beginning, you have a lot of odd jobbers. As I continually build like buildings where I'm going to need to assign workers, that's going to drastically change. So for instance, I'll end up building a warehouse that is going to store, like, I'm going to make sure I harvest here, but I'm going to build a warehouse that stores wood and furniture, and then I'm going to get some carpenters down so we can start making furniture. Furniture you need for a lot of different buildings in the game. So it's just one of those first kind of critical resources you need. There's a lot of different things in here. Like there's actually a procreation, which is pretty funny. We'll look at it later. But there's also temples in here. Once you have more food, there's market and food stalls. And if you want to keep your people happy, there's a lot of different modifiers that you need to take care of to keep your people happy so they don't leave the city and immigrants keep coming, right? So religion, different items are important to different races. So some races care about some of these things, some they don't. And so you have to be pretty cognizant of that and do that. So I think it's once we hit day 3 of summer, they'll begin foraging. Through warehouse, probably overkill right now, but I'm a warehouse fiend, dude. I love warehouses. So we can get them to speed build this thing. You can get immigrants of different races as well. So I don't normally mix many with the Tilaps because they don't really like other races. Sometimes I'll do Cretonians in here as well. And you can see that already kind of makes my Tilaps not as happy. But you can assign job priorities later, and Cretonians are actually pretty good at farming. So a lot of the time I will assign the Cretonians to do farming for me. And if they don't do the farming the way I like it, we take care of them. Later, right now we just have dirt roads, but later we'll replace these with some better roads when we get better technology. The other thing people really like is they like the speaker. We can actually build a speaker right here, and then just as people also really love decoration. And depending on your race, they like different decorations. So like we can build a speaker and then just build some trees around it. And then some benches on the other side where people might be able to sit here and listen to the speaker, right? They might need to rest their weary legs. I forgot that takes furniture, but we'll get that taken care of once we get the carpenter, right? So you can see when you try to forage, edible vegetation must be ripe late summer. So we're still waiting on that to change over. Once they can actually harvest it, I think it's either day 3 or day 4 of summer. They'll get over here and they'll begin harvesting the fruit, and then I'll start setting up farms. So we've got plenty of living space right now, and I just keep expanding that living space, really. What I'm going to do with this warehouse is like a serious amount of wood, and I'm also going to start storing furniture in it. So for right now, I'm just going to speed up. I'm not going to make my guys do too much at this point. I want them to harvest. So I don't really want them building anything. I just want them harvesting right now. So you can see they're harvesting a lot of fruit. Our fruit numbers are going to go up significantly. And then once we're done doing all the harvesting that I want to do, there's other things you can harvest out here right now, like grain. And I think those are opiates and mushrooms. So I can always do those next summer. Right now I'm trying to get my fruit and my cotton online. And we can keep bringing in more and more immigrants to get this harvesting done. Actually, if there's... depending on how long this takes them, we might even be able to harvest out here a little grain. I might be able to sell these opiates later. I can't even harvest them yet. I don't normally do mushrooms. You can do mushrooms just as a food variety, but it's not normally something I do. You can also do vegetables. So there's a lot of different items that you can legitimately harvest. Now, I'm going to create a carpenter. So I'm going to start building an industry section over here, essentially, is what I'm creating. Do an 8x8. If you build it too big, there's a lot of area in the middle that you can't really support, at least through our current technology. So we're going to create some workbenches in here. The more workbenches you create, the less efficiency that you have. So we're also going to create some auxiliary stations for more efficiency. And it will show you up here how many employees that you'll need to actually fully staff this and the resources it's going to take to build, which is quite a significant amount. And since we don't have enough, we're going to clear these rocks, which will give us enough stone for the building. And we can also fell some trees, right? Then we're also going to start moving downwards here, away from the industrial sector. And what we're going to set up are farms. So when you're creating a farm, it'll show you the moisture when you click. It'll say like 90% soil, 54% moisture. Farther down, 110% soil. So I'll work down towards this fertility area. There's also some up here that I could have started with, but I'm not. So you can really make a farm as big as you want to make a farm. Later I'll build orchards as well. So I like doing 15 by 15 here. It's going to cost 23 fruit to build. So you have to have fruit to actually start a farm. And we're just going to go hard on some farms early here. And then what I normally do is I will build a new warehouse by my farms. Because I want the food to go from farm into warehouse, right? So that's not how I normally do it. Now, it does still take a while for them to get up here, so you could say, if you wanted to cancel this, You could say, hey, when we start getting full on fruit, I'll just create another one of these over here because it's pretty, you know, close to the houses. So our guys are going to chop up all the wood here. We're making, once this carpentry's done, we'll be making furniture. And then we can create as well a hunter. Which, I like creating a hunter. For our guys, it's very efficient. They're very good at hunting. And we'll probably create another one of these. The first one I built actually has the door on the wrong side, I'm going to be honest. So we'll just build a road all the way around. And then we can also build a hunter down here. You can normally build these a little bigger. So you can see each one of these I build requires furniture. And then I need utilities to increase the efficiency. So probably just start with a smaller hunter at this point. We'll build out a bigger one later. Let's just do an 8x8. Now they're building out our fruit farms. Fantastic. So you can see this hunter is going to take 6 workers. We're trying to get the efficiency of the hunter up. So that we're not wasting. You want the efficiency of your building should be as high as possible, right? Like you don't want buildings that are not efficient. So when your population hits certain marks, it actually unlocks more buildings for you, which is pretty cool. So we have a lot of guys doing odd jobs. I'm kind of creating the city square here, if that makes sense. Because I want to put services within this main area. And I like putting roads around the houses. So a lot of people will do circular builds. I kind of just do the square build. Your citizens do actually like roundness. That's one of the things that they like. You can play this a lot slower than I'm playing it as well. And probably do a better job. But, you know, if we want to, I think I already added a well, but, you know, you can add basically a pooper once you get furniture. You gotta have some furniture for it. But, you know, you can also do food stall and market. So if I wanted to set up a food stall, which I could certainly do, set up a food stall here. And since my guys like Jesus, we could also set up a shrine to the mighty Krator. Even though I think I put that backwards. And so there are a lot of like treaties out here, right? And so people will send you stuff. I'm going to accept that, but what I want to do is I want to make room for the bows he's trying to send me. Because I'm not sure I can receive them. I accept. I should now have bows as well. So, I can use those bows later to basically make archer units. Pretty fired up, so we're going to get some fruit farms down here. We have a lot of odd jobbers right now, but that level is going to decrease pretty quickly once we get people working here and these farms and at this carpenter. And we'll actually get a second carpenter. We're going to use a lot of, and you can see these guys are now working at the carpenter. They have upkeep, so they use 16 wood a day. And so at some point, you'll want to get woodcutters and everything up here where you're bringing in wood per day. Now, the other thing that's kind of cool, I don't normally mess around with fish, but since I'm by the water, you could technically do a fishery. My guys specifically really like fruit, and a lot of the time I ended up building fruit orchards as well. So, fruit orchards don't harvest every year. The trees have to basically grow up, and then once the trees have grown, they give a lot greater production than the farms. So I will probably build some of these as well, just straight off the bat, so they have some time to grow up. So, like if we do, we'll probably do a little bigger than 15 by 15. If we do 20 by 20 for this one. I want to leave a little room in between the trees so it's not maxed out, because I don't want any of the trees to die, which will happen. Because the trees have to actually grow in here, right? So you can see it'll cost 48 fruit, but it says that it will make 6 a day. So long term pays off really efficiently. We can let our guys go back to working. So during the winter, they really need this hearth, otherwise they'll get really cold. And I also want to get some cotton farms going so we can start making clothes. So the other thing we'll want to do out here, we could maybe even build some of the cotton farms over here, but there's clay, so I maybe don't. I don't know if I want to get in the way of my clay here. That's pretty bad soil, so we don't want to get over near that soil. We can still start with just a couple cotton farms here. Yeah, he wants to give me bread, so again, let's decline that offer for a second. And let's see do I have anywhere I can store some bread, man? I'm gonna create some more warehouses here. Which again, seems ridiculous, but these guys are giving me this many resources that I need somewhere to store them. Where are my bread? 1, 2, 3, 4. Based upon the amount of crates you have. So the more food days you have, people will be happy. Now, if I actually look at like population, access, services, you know, what do they want? Food access. Access, you can also like increase what goods they're allowed to have, which will drain the goods that you have, but will make people happy. Services, different services that you can offer, right? It'll show you like access, proximity, quality, whether they're upgraded or not. People like upgraded areas. You know, now I have a food stall, so that's getting better. People are by the water, so they can skinny dip, which people like quite a lot. So you can build pools later, but at the beginning, they do enjoy just doing a little skinny dipping. And so we're still not making enough furniture at this point to really be bringing anything in. Let's get this hunter set up now. Oh no, that is the hunter. I see. So, you know, later on we'll want to get doctors, hospitals, everything like that. Right now, I'll just hope that the people manage. So, again, every time you hit a population milestone, you can build something new. So I can actually build a laboratory now, which will allow us to research. And the laboratory, you really want to get the laboratory. So you got to get some research going here. We'll probably just build this pretty close. We're going to start with a pretty small one here. I've built some pretty mega laboratories at times, but I'm just going to start with the small one. Continually bringing in more people. We've got 2 carpenters going now, right? So we're bringing in more and we're producing more and more furniture every day. And we're going to need furniture for a lot of these buildings. So 8 people in each of these carpenters. And you can see they are using a lot of wood, right? Now we've got the fruit farms going. We've got the fruit orchard going. And so estimated per year, that doesn't seem quite right. We probably should be, I guess since they haven't harvested 1 year, then it's pretty low right now, but that'll get updated later. You can still see, even with the very low, basically, limit that it says it's going to do, the fruit orchard will harvest about 3 times as much. It just takes a long time to actually get going, is the thing. So we got 1 hunter down. I'm actually going to build a 2nd hunter. And I'm going to build a couple more fruit farms. I kind of go crazy with the food early. And the fruit orchards are not, like, nearly as affected by soil. So it's not nearly as a big deal. Like, if you actually look at the orchard, it'll say, it takes a long time to get productive, but basically produces a lot more and is less reliant on fertility. So it's not nearly as a big deal where you actually put those. So, really like getting my food base down. The people get very grouchy if they don't have a lot of food, which is pretty understandable. And we've got, so like if we look at our food right now, we're actually consuming more than we're producing. We have a lot of people, and hunting will help offset that quite significantly the more hunters I get out. So I'm a real big fan of hunters, actually. Yeah, we've got plenty of housing here, so you can actually, my people actually don't mind being cannibals. Probably not gonna set something up like that for them though. So we could set up, once we have a little more furniture, we can set up a pooper. Right now I'm just going to create a 2nd well hearth area. We'll set up some more decorations. People really like decorations, so, and depending on your race, they like different decorations. So I can set up, I can set up some trees here. You can set up some flowers. People love flowers. And you're basically just trying to create the city center, you know what I mean? Like, people like the city center. So this humidifier, like, most people hate, but there are certain races that enjoy the humidifier. Or people love flowers and trees. I'm not sure how they feel about benches, but they seem to like benches. And this is really pretty much your basic setup right here. If you take a look on the map, you have your city center growing out here. You have your logistics hub with granaries and warehouses. Starting to get research. Gonna create an industry wing up here. Gonna create a farming wing on the bottom. And that's really what you're looking to create here. And it's a very entertaining game, I have to say. The other thing which is pretty cool, which we can start setting up, is we can start setting up nurseries. Actually, I'll need to start actually using my cotton first, I think. But once we have enough furniture and we're creating enough fabric, we can set up nurseries. Now, they eat fruit, but they will continually produce more people, which, of course, is really important. And our guys are really good hunters, so once these 3 hunters get set up, we really should be bringing in a decent amount of food. I might even need a 3rd carpenter. We're just not making enough furniture. So you could build a bigger carpenter, just in general, or you just throw down a 3rd one. We have had some wrongful deaths, and people do not like wrongful deaths. They'll get really unhappy. Looks like we've had a brawl. So I don't think we have... Janitor we'll need to set up too. Yeah, we don't have a guard post yet. Janitor will actually keep your buildings from decaying. Let's see if we can set up a basic janitor hub here. Set up a basic one by the city center as well. So yeah, janitors will keep the buildings and roads from decaying. So we'll want to get those guys up pretty quickly. Can hunt that guy for... I do a little hunting at the beginning normally. Helps keep the food stocks up. And you can actually set up husbandry, different pastures as well. My guys aren't super good at pastures. They're actually good at this specific type, and you can do war breeds later for horses. I don't normally really work on the fruit farms first. That's always kind of my main goal at the beginning, is getting the fruit farms going. We're going to need a lot of food. I don't really ever do fishery, but I was thinking about it this time around. Just because I'm so close to the water. You can see my guys kind of, they're not really fishers though. There's really only one race that's big on fishing. But you know, if we created a new warehouse, we could technically set that up. We could just co-op some of the cotton off this guy, and we could say, hey, let's collect some fish. Let's check out the actual production on these fisheries, if they're any good. That would only be 2 fishermen. It doesn't seem very good. Can they fish the other side at the same time? That would be 9 fishermen. Okay, yeah, You can't split across there, so. Oh, someone's skinny dipping out there. That's hilarious. Gonna increase the efficiency here. It's gonna cost a lot of wood, but that's okay. Let's just see how this goes. I haven't really done fishing before. Yeah, let's see how it goes. So close to the water. Let me make sure I did not go over my clay. Oh, I did, didn't I? Yep, I'm gonna have to delete that because this is my clay deposit. So I can't go over my clay deposit like that. Could maybe set up a fishery on this side. Alright, that is the fishery. It'll cost, what, 66 wood? It's really not bad at all. It'll get some of our people to work. So we're actually full on meat right now after all that hunting. And you can see we're running lower on housing again. So I just keep expanding out this city center, this city block. I just do this over and over and over again. And if you want to do another row of depth, like you can do that as well. Expand the roads. Plenty of room for more people to move in, and we're gonna want more cotton. We are gonna want more cotton. That is for sure. Let's just go ahead and build those cotton farms. I'm gonna put an even smaller one in here. So, we gotta get the cotton production going so we can get some fabric. Set up our nurseries and start making clothes for our people, even more importantly, so they don't freeze during the winter. I don't know if anyone's tried to survive a winter without clothes, but it's generally, I wouldn't think, very easy. So you can see our happiness requirement's pretty high. The Cretonians not as happy with the environment. There's corpses right now. They don't really like corpses being out, you know, friggin' losers. So you can go into your technology. I have innovation now that I've built a laboratory. You can actually make a graveyard. We'll do that. Just make them a bit happier. You can get cobblestone road, which my guys are gonna like the cobblestone road. And then there's also a lot of efficiency upgrades that you can do, like this hunting upgrade. And like if you wanted to upgrade your... Actually, that just allows you to make weapons. But there are some different items in here that you can upgrade. And let's see where the farming is, actually. I might not be able to get the farming one yet. I don't have enough farm employees yet, but the more farm employees I get, then I will be able to upgrade the efficiency of our farming, which will be really good. So afterlife, like we can build a graveyard so people stop being so unhappy about it. We could do a graveyard out here and doesn't really take many people to man the graveyard. Maybe I shouldn't have put this many many graves in here. Definitely want to get maximum respect. Perfect. Boom. Now we have a graveyard. How exciting is that? It's probably one of the most exciting things you've ever seen. There's a lot of rocks we can clear over here, which is fantastic. So we've already got over 100 people. I mean, we've got 135 people. Done that pretty quickly. The more people you get, the more they're going to want better services, though. So this is going to be kind of a continuing thing of the more people we have, the more services they're going to want. So we could actually unlock a stage. That's probably a good idea. We could get a stage set up. I didn't leave quite enough room, but I think that's going to be okay. I think I can eat into this front road and put a stage up here. Honestly, we can start cobblestone roading a lot of this now that we have cobblestone road. It's expensive, but your people move faster. They like it more. The road makes them very happy. So they're going to spend a crazy amount of stone on that cobblestone road, but it's going to make them happier. It's going to make them faster. And this summer, we should get a harvest from our fruit. We should be able to forage the fruit over here as well. But I'm thinking food-wise, we should be okay on production. Now, you can see, dude, our guys, this race gets an insane amount of meat, dude. So this race can basically live off of meat. Now, they're not gonna like just living off meat, so you really want to get the fruit in as well. Hopefully we'll harvest some cotton as well. We need to get these orchards going. I guess I ran out of fruit, so we couldn't produce the orchard, but... Hey, you can see all these fruit farms are producing total 219. This fruit orchard, once it's going, will be 125 itself. Which is really good. Cretonians also like eating fruit. We are bringing in 7 fish a day. That's not very good for 5 workers, to be honest. That's really bad. So I might just get rid of the fishery at some point, but for a little bit of food diversity, I guess I'll keep it for a little bit. Yeah, they should go up there and pick this cotton as well. Looks like they may already be working on doing that. So the other thing we can set up, could set up the logistics for export and import. We'd have to get like a trade agreement with someone for that to be particularly useful, but we could do that. Once we get closed, set up procreation, so we don't have to rely on immigrants. And it's kind of important you get that set up because your people will get old and they will retire. So I actually haven't done grain at all this game. Normally I do grain in a bakery, but these guys didn't seem to particularly like eating bread. So, like, I didn't have many bakeries, and I always had a lot of bread. Which kind of showed me they didn't like bread. Let's build a couple industry warehouses. Had some wrongful deaths. Still a brawl. Still from a brawl. That's not good. There's definitely workers available. I don't know what this is talking about. That is actually not a problem. So let's construct a weaver. 8 by 8. It's a really bad looking building layout. It's not the prettiest blueprint I've ever built, but it did pretty well, and the fruit farms did pretty well. We're not making enough fruit. We're consuming a lot of fruit. Just not making enough fruit right now. Because I'm really ramping up how many civilians I have quite heavily. So, and as I get more laboratories, let me actually create a second one of these. As I get more laboratories and I get more farm workers, we can actually continually increase the efficiency of these farms. Like once I'm able to increase the efficiency of farms down here, I think we're going to be solid. Like, this just increases the base efficiency of farms. So once you get 50 farm workers, you can increase it. And you're going to have crazy food after that. And it's still really a non-issue because I have huge amounts of meat. So the other thing, I could build some husbandry. Now what I'm really trying to do is start using this weaver. And now that we've got the weaver's going to create fabric. Once I have fabric, I can create a tailor and I can start making clothes. So I gotta say, the people like a lot. People love clothes. So 100% efficiency, like that's an easy one. You go ahead and create the weaver, or you go ahead and create the tailor. Now we'll also need somewhere to store our clothes, right? Do need somewhere to store a little more meat. Yeah, so we already harvested a lot of this. I don't really want to cover that. It's just easy harvesting. We've actually got a few dead people out here already. Oh, holy crap. We got a lot of dead people out here already. I'm a little surprised by that. We already got 6 dead. That's kind of crazy. What's going on in this city? Somebody's got to do something about that. So if you click your janitor and you see a lot of yellow, that means things have degraded and are not working as well, but things are looking pretty good for us. We've now got a stage too, so big entertainment center here. 8 people working at the stage, putting on shows for people. Don't mind if we do. And I think that's probably a good place to stop for the first hour of creating a Songs of 6 city. So we're not even close to filling out the map. Your city's going to continually get bigger. We're at 175 population right now. So we've built a city block. We got warehouses, creating industrial, big farm area, setting up some secret research laboratories. And next time when we play, we'll continue this. We'll get to the point where we can start making a military. We'll start breeding our own population, start creating our natives, and start getting technology. And that's where the prioritizing of the workforce really starts to come in. So if you guys enjoyed that, drop a like. If you learned something, subscribe to the channel. Stay tuned for episode 2. Thanks for watching.